be okay with trying 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And not being scared of, or not thinking that, oh, I can just do something one time and I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna get an opportunity. Someone's gonna believe in my talent. You have to do and repeat and prove yourself, almost, for lack of a better word, until people are like, oh yeah, this person does that thing. I'm going to hire her for this because she does it so well. So if you're trying to break into any, I'm not sure what it is, design, branding, strategy, social, whatever,
literally anything,
just freaking do it, and do it every day. Immerse yourself in it. Hey y'all, welcome to Stay Sharp. We have a special guest with us. McCaala's joining us today.
Hi.
And to remind everybody, Stay Sharp is our video podcast talking about creative development. So we're really just sharing our personal and professional thoughts, experiences, the whole nine, and how creative professionals can really hone in on what it takes to get the job done. So short intro. McCaala, I want to pass it to you and just kind of, segue. McCaala's just joined us on the Raire Label squad as brand manager,
a little bit of everything,
social, digital content, a whole bunch of things.
So I'm excited to be here, to be on Stay Sharp. Excited to be a part of Raire Label. Kind of came in and just, in that creative realm, doing exactly what I want to be doing with people that make me have fun doing it. So, as Jay said, I do a little bit of everything, but it's worth it. Like, it's a learning experience with everything that we do. So I'm here. I'm excited. I'm happy to be having this conversation and in conversation with you on Stay Sharp to keep us sharp,
Fire. I think to what you said, doing a little bit of everything as a creative, you really do touch on so many things within a business or within a brand or within, even just like if we just talk about social media or we just talk about, creative direction, there's so many things. The overall, I think, conversation today is about seizing every opportunity and showing up for not only the people around us, but for ourselves, for our families, for our friends, our team members. And, I think that it's such a big deal and it's something that we have to kind of work on every day. So seizing the opportunity is the big idea. McCaala, to kind of, I guess, prompt you with the first item, what would you have to say about like the right reasons, making certain decisions for the right reasons, like making a intentional decision about who to hang out with or what books you want to read or things you want to watch and listen to and things that you're digesting, your lifestyle, your ecosystem?
I can honestly say that up until recently, I had not necessarily been intentional about, and I don't want to say intentional about like the things that I chose, but intentional about like the things I consume in general. And it's easy to say like with social media kind of as that conduit, I guess you can say that it's very easy to get caught up in consuming any and everything, but I had to kind of make that time and make that decision to change and like be intentional with what I saw. And that's kind of how I ended up coming across you and like, falling in alignment with people that I saw doing what I wanted to do. Being the people that, as far as social media showed, showing me that they are like the type of person that I would want to model after or things like that. I actually had the conversation the other day that I emulate the things around me. I emulate things and people around me. And I hope that people understand that it's out of love and not just, mocking or like, I only adapt the things about people around me that I love and that I see are valuable and that I see add value to them. So, like even with y'all, like I feel like there are things that I'm starting to adapt and starting to grasp. So like you have to be around the right people because you start to fall into the habits of the people around you. So yeah, I definitely think that that's the importance of choosing your community well, choosing your, your tribe well. And like sometimes, gratefully, like when you work in alignment and when you step in alignment, your tribe finds you. So I feel like my tribe found me, you know, because I worked really hard to align myself with where I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. So yeah, 100% think that like those choices do have to become deliberate, and they don't become deliberate until you make them. Kind of like your priority, like until you say like, hey, okay, I don't like how reading this or looking at this makes me feel, or even just like listening to this. That's why I don't listen to certain things.
Step away.
Like I just need to, maybe that's not what I need to do.
Right.
Like, you know, so it's almost like if you go looking for it, it'll hurt your feelings. Like you don't necessarily always go looking for things, but like those things do inadvertently hurt your feelings sometimes. Like they don't, and feelings is like not the best use there, but they do impact your morale, your being, like, you know,
energy.
So you got to make that choice. Like you have to, like it has to be a choice. It can't not be.
Yeah, you
know?
Can't be kind of floating here.
Yeah,
and there.
It's not, I'm just doing this. I'm just here. You can't.
Don't
just
go
be
with
here.
the flow.
Let's make a direction. Like let's make a choice. And making that choice, I think that's when you start to see things change, and that's when you start to see, like. And I don't ever want anyone to feel like when you're making decisions, like you have to, like it's always right or wrong, because it's hardly ever, you know, black or white. Because whatever choice you make is going to take you where you're supposed to go.
It's what's best.
But
it's what's
So like, you know, what is best for you in that moment is kind of like what you have to make that choice for. And I feel like I have learned how to like choose with my best interest at heart, and that goes into like personal, that goes into relational, that goes into professional, and that's kind of your orbit,
No, I get everything. I agree also with everything. I think honestly the only thing that I would have to add to that, you know, like the right reasons, you know, really honing in on trying to make the right decisions is, you know, when there are things that leave you depleted, when there are things that like you just feel like you expended a lot of energy on something that wasn't fulfilling, it doesn't create any adrenaline. You know, that might be a person, it might be a job, it could be a project, it could be a lot of different things. It's like we got to fall back. Yeah, like we really have to keep it real with ourselves and be like, I could have the total opposite feeling. I could be investing my time into something that really makes me feel great, that gives me energy, that makes me want to wake up in the morning. So I think that, you know, in my personal experience, just being intentional about those decisions and not letting those decisions just make me, or just, you know, someone else make those decisions for me. But it's like, what does Jordan want? Like, what is really the best decisions for me, as far as, you know, like what I am reading or how much I am on social media, or when I decide to, you know, take a step back from social media. Social media is a big thing.
That step back.
It's a big step back, and always, I think, checking in with myself too on when it just needs to happen. Yeah. And sometimes it's scary to be like, oh, I gotta let this go, but
it requires a commitment. I think that's something that people don't necessarily talk about, is how intention is commitment. Because like when you intend something, you commit to whatever that is.
Right. You're going to be on that path.
So exactly. So like I think that's why a lot of people don't understand intention, because it's hard to commit. Yes. And that requires like
a lot of discipline. It requires, and I think sometimes when we commit to something and we think that we're falling back from something, we might believe that, okay, we're gonna sacrifice something. So losing. Like, oh, now I can't go out anymore, I can't have fun because I need to commit all to this other thing. And it's not quite that. It's just knowing that, okay, if I do a little bit less of something, I feel, you know, I might feel a little bit less tired or a little bit less irritated, and I get more on the positive side. So I don't like to think of like, you know, like falling back or giving up something as like, oh, I'm sacrificing, but it's just like, these are the freaking decisions that need to be made.
They have to be made,
and let's do it. So,
I agree.
Yeah. What about like you're in a creative role, and you've been in, you know, a few creative roles over the, you know, past few years. How do you see yourself as a woman in a creative profession? What was that journey like for you? Like, how did you become a woman in the creative industry, and how would you advise, I guess, younger women or, you know, older, I mean, anybody to take that journey?
Yeah, so this kind of goes into like seize the opportunity, and I can honestly say that the first person to give me like a shot at kind of having that creative role was Tia at the boutique, and I like reached out to her. Hey Tia. I reached out to her and I was like, look, I want to run your social. Like I want to do this. And she was like, well, pull up on me at this event and like we can do kind of an in-person powwow to see what it's like. And Tia gave me the reins. Like she let me do it all, and that was like that first learning experience of me being a creative and kind of having that creative freedom through social. You know, like it's crazy, but that's where the creativity came from. And so like through Tia, I got connected with other people with like logos and graphic design and things like that, and then it just kind of snowballed.
Where did you learn like graphic design? Like how did you start getting into some of those programs? Like,
so I didn't
did you want to, or were you just like, oh crap, I literally ended up in the class. Like I had no intention of ever like sitting down in Adobe Creative Suite and being like, I am going to be a graphic designer. Yes. It was never that. Says no one ever.
I was in my PR 2010 class, which is Intro to PR, and we had to learn how to use InDesign. And one of our projects was creating like a brand and like developing a brand and like the brand standards and things like that. And every time I would turn in a project, you'd be like, oh, this is so good. Like you have such a good understanding of like layout and things like that. And I was just kind of like, I'm just putting stuff on a page. Like I don't really, I don't know what I'm doing. But as the class progressed, I progressed. And Tia had me making business cards for her. And that's like kind of where it started. Like I would start making graphics for Tia, and she'd be like, oh, how did you do that? And I'm like, girl, I'm in. And so it just kind of snowballed into that.
Designer.
I'm just, you know, I'm a graphic designer now. Like what you need done? Like that's just kind of, that's really how like that started. And it really, like when I tell you like I fell into it, I feel like I was always kind of like in creative space. Like, you know, Rashad always says I'm an art kid. So that's like a thing, but like it was not like I intended to go and be like, I will be a creative, because even if you were to ask me while I was still in school, in like high school and undergrad, I was like corporate communications, like public relations. I was going to
thinking that this is
traditional comms,
what I have to do,
because that's what I was in school for. And, you know, I went to work for what I went to school for and was like, maybe this ain't it, you know? And so that's kind of how we ended up here. And now I'm like a creative, and I don't feel like I have the story to be like, oh, you know, I did X, Y, and Z, but like I seized that opportunity. Like one thing about it is I was never scared to ask. Like, I shot you a message like, hey, what's up? Like, what we gotta do? Like, you know, like, let's just have a creative session. And that's just kind of like what that ended up being. So it's always just kind of been like, I'm not scared to ask, because what's the worst you can say? You can either not reply or just say no. And either way, there's somebody else, there's somewhere else. Like, yeah, that's how we ended up here. That's how I got here. And, you know, I think the best thing to say would be to like seize any opportunity. Like if you see somebody doing what you want to do, like reach out to them, because like more than likely, if they are the type of person, the right people to be around, like that will align with you. Like that will fall in line.
The space is there for you.
And even if you can't find the opportunity to seize, like create your own opportunity. Because like now you have the resources. Like the world has changed so much in the past year that like you could do whatever. So like that's your choice. And not saying that like it's not hard work and harder to go that route, but you gotta want it. You gotta really want, you can't be scared of yourself. Like I think that's what I had to learn. Like you can't be scared of yourself and your own potential. Like
you said a few words. I think that we do have to go back and fill everybody in on just the, you know, with you coming on and Devon coming on as team members, like even telling that backstory, because it is essentially seizing the opportunity. So I'm glad that we kind of came up with this topic to talk about on these episodes of Stay Sharp, because I think if you don't ask, like, you don't know. And literally the worst thing that somebody can tell you is no. And it's like, it's not going to kill you. It's like, you have to get actually told no. People will, if you listen to any other, whatever, like a business owner or somebody in a creative industry, or like, maybe it's an artist or something, like, they're going to be like, yeah, like, I was told no 100 times before I got my first yes. Like, and not being scared of the no, and still, deciding to continue to move forward, continue to get better. And something else that you mentioned was, that one of the first opportunities you got, Tia was just kind of like, hey, I'm going to give you social, run with it. I think that that's something as well that is huge. If you are looking to get into a creative field, you have to be able to demonstrate ability. Like, you have to be able to, like, actually, you can't hide behind fear. You have to figure out how to deal with imposter syndrome. That's something that we all have every day. But you have to have tools to, like, combat those things, or weapons rather, and really fight that, so it's not preventing you from the greatness. And I think that demonstration of ability and being able to insert yourself, like, hey, I'm not really sure what you got going on. It looks cool. I'm going to add value. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to bring the energy. I'm going to figure out whatever you need. And then I will go
and do it
either because I know how, or I'll go learn from Google or YouTube, or I'll go ask somebody else I know that knows how to do it.
Google University.
So that, like, that's to me too, like, kind of what you did is also a big piece of advice I would give for other people. I've been asked a few times, like, hey, I want to get into social media management. Like, how do I do that?
Yeah.
And I tell people, I'm like, start with managing your own social media, first of all, because that is a key indicator to someone on the outside looking in that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, a company isn't going to come around and be like, hey, do you want to run our social media? And you don't even run your own. So try that first. Play around with making, if you want to be a content creator, make content and you're going to make so much content. A lot of it may not even make it to, the internet, whether that's content for YouTube or social or whatever that is. It's like, just use that as practice and be okay with making things that you don't end up publishing. It's fine. Keep it in the bag or whatever.
Things. Like, I made the joke recently that, like, I'm an artist because I have archives now. Like, there are things that will never see the face, like, the light of day, because like, I created them just to create, but like, I needed that practice. Like, I needed to learn.
Something we were also talking about the other day was, like, we're talking about, women wanting to get into a creative field or getting a creative opportunity with a brand or a business or, someone that they admire or want to work with. Something that we were talking about the other day is being willing to, like you were saying, you're doing a lot of artwork that may never even be published. Be okay with trying 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And not being scared of, or not thinking that, I can just do something one time and I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna get an opportunity. Someone's gonna believe in my talent. You have to do and repeat and prove yourself, almost, for lack of a better word, until people are like, oh yeah, this person does that thing. I'm going to hire her for this because she does it so well. So if you're trying to break into any, I'm not sure what it is, design, branding, strategy, social, whatever,
literally anything,
just freaking do it, and do it every day. Immerse yourself in it.
And that's like a really good point, because that's what I was kind of thinking about. We have to stop saying that I want to be and just say that, like, I am. Because, like, when you start to say that, like, I am these things, I do these things, I am a creative, I do creative things, you start to believe that. And, like, again, that goes into, like, the belief of yourself. Like, you can't be out here expecting people to believe in you and you don't even believe in yourself. Like, you don't even believe in what you're creating. I'm trying to do, no, you're doing, you are, you, like, so that's something that, like, I've had to learn. Like, that was a part of my process in being okay with moving in the way that we're moving, and even getting here. Like, I had to trust that, like, I damn sure belong in this room. Like, I have what it takes to be right here, and I'm right here because of that. So, I am the creative that, I say that I am, and that's just kind of what it was.
it all starts with you. And yeah, you just have to show up for yourself before you can show up for somebody else.
Yes.
And then I believe that those opportunities begin to present themselves, and the right people come in, you find your tribe, and then from there you're rolling. That's not to say that it's easy, you know, because everything is easier said than done. And if anybody watching this wants to literally reach out, like, at any time, because it can feel lonely sometimes. It can feel like, what am I doing? Like, am I doing the right thing? And so yeah, sometimes maybe you just need to reach out and ask somebody a question that can help you move through what you're challenged with.
I agree.
But yeah, I think also something that you have committed to is, you know, leadership and self-development, but also professional development. Like, it all, you know, all of these things can kind of go hand in hand. But how do you stay determined to step into leadership roles, but also, you know, work on that self-development and professional development simultaneously, all together?
Yeah, so I never, like, prior to kind of like having these conversations and like getting into college and like leadership roles becoming a thing, you know, like, I never really considered myself to be a leader. Like, you know, like, I would hear people be like, oh, you have like such a leader, and I just never really was like, I'm a leader.
Yes.
Like, it was never that for me.
Follow me.
Like, follow me, I'm gonna lead you. But like, I knew that I had something to say. Like, I tend to have things to say always.
Right.
But one thing that has stuck with me in like taking a leadership kind of thing, like, leadership LSU was a thing, and I went through leadership LSU, and one thing in that first seminar that we had, he said that, like, you are not like a leader, you just lead. Like, it's not about being a leader. Like, leadership is not about being a leader. It's about like, what do you do that determines how people follow you.
Right.
Like I said, you emulate what you see valuable. You pick up pieces of people and things around you that you see are valuable. So like, I just want to always be valuable. And in order for me to be valuable, I have to continue to develop myself. So I'm always deep diving. Y'all know that. Like, y'all know I am the one that's like, okay, so what does this mean? Like, what is this
let me evaluate
moment? Yeah, like, let me understand, let me analyze, let me get into kind of like the nitty gritty of whatever this moment is, because I know that like on the other side of that, I'm gonna be sharpened. Like, I am going to be sharpened like iron, and that's really always my goal. And I feel like when I stay sharp, you stay sharp, Devon stays sharp, Rashad stays sharp, and when y'all stay sharp,
right,
here I am. You know what I'm saying? So it's again showing up for my team, like showing up for my people, and I have had to learn how to show up for myself in order to show up for my team. And that has helped me professionally. I mean, like, I've had, you know, professional experiences and things that, of course, have groomed me based on, like, being in classes and being in schools and these programs and all these things. Like, you know, like, I learned that easily, but they don't teach you how to develop yourself in, like, professional development. They teach you how to groom yourself, how to show up, but, like, you have to grow. And growth isn't necessarily factored into grooming. Grooming just cleans you up.
Right.
Grooming doesn't like, all right, like, let's strip all this down and let's push it this way and let's see where it goes. But, you know, grooming keeps it in check. And that's what I felt like a lot of my professional development experiences were. So I had to learn to prioritize myself. Again, like, it starts with you. Like, I could not be the professional that I wanted to be because I was not the person that I wanted to be. Right. And if I'm not the person that I want to be, I damn sure ain't gonna be able to lead nobody. So that's really kind of like how that evolves. And like, even watching you, like, you have it, you know, and like, that's the it that we always talk about. Like, you either have it or you don't. And we're lucky to be a group of people who have it. And not to say that it can't be learned, but like,
you should have to be around it.
You gotta be around it. You gotta, again, emulate it, soak it up. Like, what are you consuming? Are you consuming people who have the it that you're looking for? Are you consuming shit? Like, you know, like, what is it? So that's really how I have learned, and I mean, granted, it's only like my 3rd day out here, you know what I'm saying? But like, that's what I'm learning. And I feel like the more that I learn this and like understand that kind of process, because like that's something that we talk about, like understanding process, you know, like I'm trying to learn process. So understanding that process has been able to kind of get me to here. And I feel like the more that I learn it and refine it, it's going to continue. So yeah, that's kind of
beautiful. Like, well said. I'm with you on, like, I didn't wake up one day and was like, you know, I'm going to be, you know, a leader. And, you know, we're fitting many hours of just life into, you know, a few minutes of conversation on, you know, leadership and the self and personal development. But I knew that for me, I'm like, I definitely want to show up. Like, I want to be known as I'm a person that is dependable or accountable. People can, you know, call me and I can help, and I can, you know, kind of, you know, whatever that is, troubleshooting or problem solving, or, you know, all of the above. I knew that was the contribution that I wanted to make. And so I think that it then boils down to just, you know, a leadership kind of figure or something like that. But it's something that I definitely work on this every day. There are moments where I do feel maybe pressure, or I feel weight on my shoulders, because I'm like, I have to perform at a certain level. So now the rest of the people who are being impacted by me, they're not getting shit. You know, they're getting quality, they're getting, you know, someone who pushes themselves. So I think that that's why I stay committed to, you know, like reading, self-improvement, figuring out what are the skills within. I mean, I've been a business owner only for 2.5 years, and I'm still like, and will be forever learning new things. Like, I got to keep up with the trends or whatever that looks like. And sometimes it's a lot, but I just choose to show up rather than, you know, like just lay down. But no, that's beautiful. And
lay down, don't stay down.
Yes. Yes. So fall back from, you know, things that aren't serving you.
Please.
Insert yourself to things that, you know, are things you want to learn about, people you want to be around. Don't be afraid to get told no. Don't be afraid to ask. Try 1,000 times, try 2,000 times. Like, don't, you know, give up. Immerse yourself, and you will find the space for you. This was an amazing podcast.
Yeah, I think this is perfect.
Seize every opportunity.
And understand that there's always space for you. Like you just said, like, make the space for you, but like, understand that in your walk, like where you are, your path, your journey, the lessons and all of that, like, there's always space for you.
Right.
There was space made for you as soon as you hopped in here, you know? So trust that.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for watching.
Thank y'all. We'll be back.
Stay sharp.
Raire
Label, @Raire Label on Instagram, rairelabel.com. Hit us up, whatever you need.
Come find us.